Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video we are going to be answering a question sent to me by request. This question that was sent to me was, what is some advice you can give to sorors in leadership? I assume this is for people who are in the organization already or newly inducted members, which I think is a really good question, because I have my advice for neophytes and my advice for prophytes on my channel, whether it's undergrad or graduate chapter. I have advice for both of those groups because those are two separate groups. But I think that this question related to leadership is one that can go for everyone. So if you're interested in learning more, then keep watching this video. One piece of advice that I would offer people is to get training. Sometimes being in an organization, training is required, especially being in a sorority or a fraternity. Learning how an organization is supposed to run, learning how your chapter is supposed to run, I feel like is very important. And I feel like that's something that's missing in a lot of chapters, is that training, that previous knowledge and previous wisdom that other people passed down, that just gets lost sometimes because people will leave, people will move on, some people will pass away if you're in an older chapter. So some of that information that you would typically get from older people who have been doing these things for many years just gets lost. So I think it's important to get training, and most, if not all, organizations offer some form of training on an international level to their members. I know from my sorority we are constantly offering trainings. There are more trainings than I would like to attend. Some are mandatory, some are volunteer based. It's just for you to learn things, for you to learn how to do your job, how to do certain projects. There are different workshops that we offer, and I'm sure other organizations do these things too. So open yourself up to any type of training that is available to you. One other piece of advice that I feel like is really important is to learn from past mistakes and learn how to make them better, or make it into your own something better. Sometimes when you're in an organization or when you're in a chapter, it just becomes so toxically bad to where when you get leaders in positions, you just don't want to be a part of that chapter anymore. You want to go somewhere else. And I feel like if you find yourself in a position where you become a leader, learn from the mistakes that the previous people have made and learn how to make it better. I also think that it's important to listen to people. I thoroughly enjoy my chapter, the Nu Sigma chapter of Sigma Gamma Rho, because we are a democracy. It is very important to make sure that everyone feels like they're being heard. And if you have a grievance, or if there's some kind of misunderstanding, which we rarely have, but if there's some kind of misunderstanding, to go to the person where that misunderstanding is coming from to get clarification. And I think it's important to learn from that issue, or learn from what previously happened before, so that you're not making the same mistakes again. I think it's important as a leader to be able to admit when you've made a mistake or when you've done something wrong. Some people can't do that, and that's just them as people. They can't do it. And I think it's very important as a leader, when you're trying to be an example to others, be able to show your humanity by being like, you know what, I made this mistake, forgive me, what are y'all's thoughts on how we can make it better, and just moving on. I think that that's really important in a chapter, is knowing that you have the ability to admit when you've done wrong, or admit when a mistake was made, and learn how to improve it. And it's teaching other people too that it's okay to make mistakes. Not too many mistakes, but it's important to make mistakes, and when you make mistakes, to be honest about the mistake that you made and move on. Other advice that I can offer for leadership, let's see. I think being open-minded is very important too. With the changes that have been made within the past couple of years with COVID-19 alone, it has changed the way leadership leads people. I know from my sorority we had to make a lot of adjustments as far as how do we do certain things, or what things will now change due to COVID, because there was a time where we did money orders and we didn't do online payments, and now we do online payments due to COVID. So being able to recognize where there is room for innovation to be made, I think is very important. And also bringing that information to everyone to decide. I think a lot of people in leadership take that authority and just abuse the power. So being able to take it back to your people, to be like, this is the information that I'm presenting to you guys. What are your thoughts? These are my recommendations. What are your thoughts? I think that's very important when you're dealing with other people, to let them know that their voices are heard, and that it's not just about you and what you want. With me in my position, I am in a position of leadership, but not to the extent where I have to do too much, but it is very important to have the people's opinion. So for me, in my particular position, I am a presenter of information because it is stuff that's going to represent our organization. I am the social media chair. I'm on the programs committee. I am the what we call the epistolius, so the person that is responsible for the history of the chapter and for documenting our history and for presenting this our chapter to the public. That is my job. So the public relations person, basically. And a lot of that is my design, but at the same time, what is the chapter looking for? What does the chapter want? And I have to adhere to what they want. It's not just about what I want and the things that I want to be done or what I think looks good. Being able to present that to people is very, very important. So I think being able to do that is necessary. There have been times in leadership where I've had to actually lead my chapter. So if you know anything about the hierarchy of officers, there are times where some people in position, if the president isn't available, the next person in line does that. I've actually had a instance where I had to run chapter, and it wasn't something that I was prepared to do that day, but because I've been trained in the past in undergrad and in grad chapter, mostly in undergrad by my academic advisor, shout out to Flo. She taught me everything I know about being a leader and leading people in the chapter, because I ended up becoming an advisor too. But being able to know things like Robert's Rules of Order is very important. Procedural things, proceedings, how do we make a motion? Those things are very important, and I feel like it's very good to kind of know that information in advance. So teach yourself, if you can, some of that stuff, because you never know when you're going to be put in a position where you actually have to lead a chapter. Like I had to run a whole half portion of the chapter meeting because our leadership was running late, and so you never know. So being prepared, I think, is a good piece of advice to take away from that, is to know when to take up the mantle and be that person, or to just sit back and observe. I think is very important too. So I hope that you guys found this information helpful. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. If you have any questions for me or any other things that I can answer for you guys, feel free to message me. You also can book a clarity call on my website. That information will be linked in the description box for you guys. But if you have any questions for me, feel free to let me know, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.